This week, a live manger scene with a twist, and not just because of COVID. The Rural Reflections online column. Christmas lights on farm equipment. Farmers secret Santa-ing themselves, and a reminder of the meaning of Christmas. This is the Rural Reflections Podcast. Welcome to the Rural Reflections Podcast, co-hosted by Dave Nelson out in Carrington, North Dakota, and Grant Nelson. That's me here at the studios of Thief River Falls Radio. And Dave, it is the week of Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too.
This is awesome. This year has been one of those funny years between the COVID going on, not being able to be close together, and maybe the weather being, well, it is warmer than it normally is. I mean, we've been running 10, 15 degrees above average here. It's just doesn't quite feel like Christmas, but I think I'm starting to get myself kind of kickstarted into that Christmas mood. How about you?
Yeah, I'm ready for it, actually. I mean, Mary's still decorating. That'll continue on till the first of the year. But we have Christmas. We're kind of ready here for Christmas, and we're going to have some family together. We get to go get a couple of our grandkids today.
Oh, fun!
And we're gonna have them here for 3 days. So yeah, we're ready for Christmas, and I don't care if we have snow or not. I'm just fine without it.
I'm right with you because I'd put extra straw down when I saw that we weren't getting much snow. I put extra straw down over the drain field and over the septic tank, and now it's been warm anyway, so I'm not real worried about it. And we're the same as you. When you talk about the Christmas decorating, about 25% of our Christmas decorating is moving totes around of Christmas decorations. So they're kind of part of the flora and the fauna until, I don't know, certainly after the new year. Then it just kind of settles down to the cabin fever season. Now, you were talking before we got on the air today about a manger scene, a live manger scene, and is that out in Carrington, out at the rodeo grounds or at the fairgrounds?
Well, the fairgrounds and rodeo grounds are together, but they had it in the rodeo arena.
Okay.
And it was the coldest night we've had. I think it was one above when they were out there trying to do it, and it was really quite nice. I watched it on video because we were going to go out there, but it was so cold, we decided to heck with it. Anyway, it was fun to see. They were setting up the manger scene. They didn't have a camel, so they had to use a horse, and they were contemplating how they were going to put two humps on the horse, and
a king queen. How about a king queen saddle?
There you go. They were social distancing while they were setting up, and people had masks on. And it was a 2020 kind of manger scene, They had tractors out there pushing posts in and setting up stuff, and they had horse trailers and big pickups and stuff, but turned out to be a very nice manger scene. I'm sure them people froze for 16 minutes while they were out there, but it was good. It's just fun how there was always the donkey and the ox that they talk about in the manger scene. Well, These guys had sheep and goats and horse, and they had a cow out there, or a calf out there. But it was very good, and I think they decided that, you can't do anything else in church, and you can't have Christmas programs and this and that, so they decided to do a COVID-19 live manger scene and give people a little something to look at and think about for Christmas.
So I like that. I mean, the large tractors and the horse trailers, were they kind of the backdrop or the backside of the stage then?
Yeah, they kind of ended up behind the bale pile and stuff.
Okay. And then you said that they had an FM transmitter, so people who were on site in their vehicles could listen to the program, right?
Yeah, everybody that got a parking place around the outside of the rodeo arena could see and turn your car radio to 88 point something and listen.
I like that. That's really neat. And then you were able...
And the transmitter was a really good one, too.
And then you were able to listen or watch on social media also on a Facebook stream or a YouTube stream or something?
Yeah, it was on. They live streamed it out of there. I'm not just sure how because I saw recorded versions of it. But anyway, it was available to pretty much anybody who wants to see it. And it was good.
You know, that sounds fun. I like the idea of making things work. And it seems like out in North Dakota, you guys do a lot of that. You know, we've got a lot of that around this area, too. I think we're pretty independent folk. And we like to still have our traditions. And Christmas... You know, I've said this before. I've written about this in my newspaper column too, that Christmas is about the birth of Jesus. And if people will just stay foursquare on that, they'll be a lot happier. And then look at the little traditions as just milestones of nostalgia to remind you of the season, to get you into that emotional mood where you can get in touch with the real reason for the season. And I think if people will just focus squarely on that, they'll be a lot happier instead of getting the perfect gift or setting up decorations in the perfect way, because particularly this year, a lot of those traditions are going to be a little bit hard to achieve, or if nothing else, they're going to be very different. So the one thing that stays steadfast through the whole way is the reason for us getting together, and that is because of the birth of Jesus.
Yep, I think so too. It's fun to watch how people have gone about improvising the musical, the high school musical or the grade school musical that's usually held at Christmas. They did without singing. They had basically a spoon and pan band, you know. So these kids came up with all these different ideas to make the right sounds for the songs that they were doing. So the kids were all up on the risers. There was no talking, no singing, but they were banging out all the Christmas songs on their pots and pans and stuff.
I like that. You know, the one thing, too, that we can look forward to in 2021 is all of these traditions are going to come rolling back with about 25 to 35% more steam. So it's going to be an interesting year. Dave, let's take a break. Let's do my online column. We'll come back with part 2. We're going to talk about lighting up Christmas tractors and all the other vehicles that are part of the farm and on the road. I'm Grant Nelson. This is Rural Reflections. It's now soundly the Christmas season. I know there's not much snow, which is certainly a leading indicator of Christmas. However, I believe we cannot wait for snow to enjoy the spirit of the season. Time to roll up our sleeves and get a little tinsel and Christmas wrapping on our hands. First off, I really like the good things that happen during the season. God's strongest message is to love one another, and that really manifests itself in the work of the Area Food Shelf, the Red Kettle Campaign, and so many other good and kind organizations. I also like the idea of being together during the Christmas season. Expressing joy and celebration with loved ones is a natural outcome of the most important event in the history of mankind. I think it's correct to place so much importance on family, friends, and giving during the Christmas season. Here's the deal, though. Christmas is not a special day for benevolence or get-togethers. It's the birth of Jesus. There may be any number of lovely traditions that have grown up around his birth. However, they are traditions and not the reason for this holiday. I say this as a reminder, as testimony, but also as a pathway to avoid despair. There's so many nostalgic traditions, new practices, and expectations mixed into Christmas. That's no wonder some wake up on the 26th of December and feel disappointed, or even as though they've failed. These traditions are only to remind you of the holiday. They're not the reason for the holiday. A memory of these traditions is probably just as valuable as constantly trying to relive the tradition, especially if it detracts from time to consider the birth of Jesus and what that little boy would grow up to do for us. This Christmas, I think people should set their standard for observance as no more or less than an observance of the birth of Jesus. Do this, and then recognize that you are connected to millions of others who are doing the very same thing. People from all over the world are thinking the same thoughts and feeling the same emotions as you are thinking and feeling. Even if you're physically alone, you are spiritually very crowded and snug. Think of the message of love and let that emotion move from you through your surroundings and envelop those who have not recognized the gift of eternal life, which began with the birth of Jesus. Now, if you make even one Christmas cookie, sing one note of Christmas music, receive one Christmas card, or force down one flake of lutefisk, I couldn't resist, then you have gone way past any expectations of Christmas. You will not only have observed and filled yourself with the spirit of the season, but you'll also have connected to every Christmas tradition and memory of Christmas shared with loved ones, past and present, with just that little extra act. If you don't perform any little tradition, that's okay too. The gift of the season is still there for you, and that is what is important. Merry Christmas. I'm Grant Nelson. This is Rural Reflections. Welcome back to the second half of the Rural Reflections podcast. It's Dave in Carrington, it's Grant in Thief River Falls, and it's Christmas time. Dave, the one thing that really, one of the things that kind of gets me going is seeing a combine or a tractor with lights strung all over it, or sometimes you even see, semis nowadays have so many lights on them that they're kind of lit up year round, but you'll see something on a semi every once in a while, like a wreath on the front or something like that. I really like that. That makes me feel, it gets me nostalgic about farming, it gets me nostalgic about Christmas, and there's something about lights too that just kind of make you feel warm.
Yeah, I like the wreath on the grill on the semis too. And like you said, they're so lit up. The wreath just gives you the right season is all. Yep. Because the rest of the lights are already there.
Yep.
I can't imagine trying to keep all those lights going on these trucks and trailers, but some of them going down the road, they look like a moving train,
I always think when I see all those lights, if there's even one of them out, if let's say you have the minimum amount of clearance lights and all that sort of thing, and you have all the right tail lights and everything, but you have maybe a few extra clearance lights, and then you lose one, all of a sudden you're going to invite a traffic stop real quick. And I saw something related to this last week, and I think this was a Minnesota State Patrol tweet that I had seen, where somebody had gone full-on Clark Griswold on their car and just covered it in lights, and they were like, this is too much. You can't do this. It just gets to be too much. But you see them every once in a while with just a little bit of lights on them, and I like, especially with the semis, when they have that nice big wreath on the front, like an 18-inch or a 24-inch like you and Mary got for us. That big one on there looks so nice, just like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they look good.
Now, the other thing I always see in this is, it seems like you see this in front of implement dealerships and sometimes financing institutions that farmers frequent. You'll see a combine or a tractor up front lit up, and that has varying amounts of lighting. Sometimes they just put a spotlight on it and a little bit of stuff on there, but sometimes they almost Clark Griswold some of those.
Yeah, they do. I used to always like to pass through Grand Forks because Farm Credit Services always had a tractor or combine and green cart or something out in front of their place. Yeah, and it was really well done, and they'd have the moving lights coming out of the auger and look like grain going into the green tank and stuff like that. The Case IH dealers, and I'm sure all the rest of them, have a kit that you can order that is all already done and give you exactly the right number of lights. There's no experimenting. It's all all set up for one of your combines or tractor. So yeah, that's a pretty popular thing to see. It takes a lot of work. This year seems like an unusual amount of decorating was done, I'm sure, because what else can you do, you know?
That's exactly right.
I mean,
plus, it was nice outside, so it was a little bit easier to go ahead and do that. Now, with all that, we had like CFAP 1, CFAP 2, PPP funds. There's a little bit of money out there that's flowing around to try and support farmers as we go through COVID-19. Is some of that showing up or manifesting itself with people buying more farm equipment, Dave?
Oh, I think it's quite obvious that there's a lot of farmers that are getting themselves a nice Christmas present before the end of the year. And it's, thank goodness for the dealers and stuff like that, that there is something there, because I expected a rough year, and except for the problems with COVID and, you know, farmers saying, okay, if you come to my house today, we tested positive, you know, so we're going to stay in the house, or, you know, we're going to wipe the tractor down before we get there, or whatever, you know. So except for that, it has not been a bad year for implement dealers. It's been pretty decent. So
are they have they been getting tractors or combines or sprayers, or yes to all the above?
Yeah, no, all of the above. You know, the tractors, I think, were probably one of the bigger things, because the tractors are one of the things that, except for the tires and standard wear things, they don't have any ground engaging parts or that, you know, like the combine does or the cultivator does or whatever. So the tractors have been, they're starting to get a little older, you know, 5 years plus and stuff like that. So people are looking to upgrade that tractor because it's been a while. And combines, you know, they're kind of a normal upgrade after so many years. You know, they get a couple thousand hours on them or something, and they want to move on to a different combine and that. So yeah, it's been all of the above, I guess, but tractors probably were the big thing until we ran out.
Well, it'd be nothing like having one of those big, beautiful Case IH quad tracks waiting for you under the Christmas tree, or sitting adjacent to the Christmas tree with a big bow across it come Christmas morning.
Yeah, that would be fun for a farmer for sure.
Well, Dave, Merry Christmas. Have a great Christmas week. Tell everyone hello and Merry Christmas out there. And then we'll come back next week. We'll do one more, and then we'll hit it in 2021.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. There he is, Dave Nelson in Carrington, North Dakota. I'm Grant Nelson here at the studios of Thief River Falls Radio, and this is the Rural Reflections Podcast.